Okay, so the new Precure series starred Twinkle Precure. It started airing. The first episode aired last night. Yeah, it was pretty good. Let's talk about the first 3 episodes. Of course, only 1 episode aired so far, but we'll talk about episode 2 and 3 in a later video. So, the first episode was pretty... It was the same as most other Precure first episodes, but I'd say in terms of execution, it was a little above average. So it's a bit too early to say how good the series itself will be, but yeah, the first episode was pretty good so far. I think the biggest strength already is the space theme, which is obvious. I've been going on about this in my other Star Twinkle Precure videos. The space theme is really good. The fight scene in this episode was set in space, which was really cool. The overall aesthetic, the suit designs, all that other stuff looks really great. The character designs, so on and so forth. The soundtrack was great. It was very kind of orchestral and nice sounding. It really fit the space theme. I really like how they're executing things so far. I really like the villains. The villains' designs are very kind of weird and crazy, but I like that. I've heard, I'm not sure how true this is. I guess we'll see in episode 2 and 3, but I've heard they're gonna ditch the Monster of the Week formula and focus on the generals more, which is interesting. If they do that, I guess we'll find out soon, of course. And yeah, I'd be totally interested in that. I really like Kephard and what we've seen of him so far. He looks really cool. He looks like the kind of like unlikable dick that we kind of need for the beginning of the series. He reminds me a lot of Pijard, but I mean, that makes sense that he does, of course. But yeah, no, I really like this episode. Kind of implies and shows a lot of stuff that isn't implicitly told to us. So, for example, how Lala acts very kind of nervous and shy throughout the entire episode, but then we're like, oh wait, we were shown like a kind of dark and destroyed planet and everything, and she's like got travel sickness and everything. So from that we can kind of get the idea that maybe her planet was attacked or something, probably by Kephard, and how Prinsu says that they're looking for Precure and everything, and it's never outright stated that like, oh, you know, my planet was attacked and that's why I'm looking for Precure, but instead they like kind of show these little things and how she acts in this environment and everything, which is really good. I really like how they kind of do that. It doesn't feel very condescending. I'm sure the next episode or something will probably have a more just kind of like a scene where we just kind of sit down and actually just get told the plot, because the second episode of Precure usually does that kind of thing. But I like how the first episode handled it, and I would be really happy if they kept doing that. The fight scene was really good. It was very kind of short, but what was there was good. We'll see how much they continue with that later on. I'm certain we will eventually hit a point where they'll just give up and have most of the fight scenes just be fairly generic looking ones on Earth. But I really liked how this one was in space and everything, and I will be super interested to see if they actually continue that for the entire series. Because of that, it did still feel kind of different and unique and on its own compared to other Precure series, which was neat, because we don't usually get that kind of thing too early on. I mean, again, a lot of stuff we get shown is still very similar to other Precure first episodes, but again, that's kind of to be expected at this point. Another thing I really like and noticed is that, so Hikaru runs into Lala and everything, and there's this moment where once we've, run into Lala and everything, Fua goes into Lala's ship and everything, and Kephard starts attacking, and there's this moment where Hikaru just kind of like looks for a second, and she's like thinking, and she's just like, oh, do I actually want to do it? Like, because she knows that if she follows Lala, she's going to get sucked into whatever this whole thing with the villains and stuff is. And she doesn't know she's going to be a Precure, obviously, but she knows that she's going to be put in danger, but she's like, nah, fuck it, I'm just gonna go anyway. And I like that. It gives the characters a lot of kind of bearing on the plot, and it makes it feel like they're actually doing things rather than just having the fairy coming and going, something destiny, which it gets old after a while. So yeah, no, this episode was pretty good. There's honestly not that much to say because it is very similar to most of the first episode of Precures, but it hit all the important points, and it did a fairly solid job at doing so. And I think there's not much else I could really ask from this episode other than that. The opening theme was pretty good. Overall presentation was pretty good. The animation style reminds me a lot of Pokemon Sun and Moon. Not as good as Pokemon Sun and Moon, of course, but this is Toei we're talking about. But I still really liked it. It also seems like this series is going to be very kind of comedy focused. There was a lot of jokes in here. Some of them were pretty funny, and I think we need that. After Hugto Precure, I think it's better to have a more kind of lighthearted, comedy focused series after a while to kind of break the tone a bit. Maybe it'll get more serious later on. We'll see. I do like the kind of comedic tone, as long as it's done well, as long as it's kept kind of breezy and fast and entertaining, and as long as it doesn't dwell on things too long. But yeah, no, this series is pretty good so far. Again, not much to really say about the first episode specifically, but if you're wanting a recommendation, I don't know why, because this is a first Precure episode. You know, you've probably already made your mind up as to whether or not you'll be watching this. If you're someone who for some reason hasn't seen Precure yet and is deciding whether or not they should start here, yeah, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't. Like, this is a fairly solid first episode. Again, I like the space theme, the character designs are good, the comedy's pretty decent. I can't guarantee how good the rest of the series will be. A lot of time, Precure series like this will end up starting strong and kind of fading after the first few episodes. So we'll see if this suffers from the same fate. I like that they are going back to introducing the cures one by one. A lot of series do that, but I think it's good to kind of space out the introduction rather than having the entire team at once. But again, that's something that a lot of Precure series do. But yeah, no, that's episode 1 of Star Twinkle Precure. We'll see where things go in episode 2 and 3. But yeah, no, that was a pretty good episode.